Another request to see Jack make something. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. Before we get started, please hit the like button and subscribe to give me courage. Now, let's get started.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be the hardest episode ever to do.
Is that because this isn't going to be a lazy man recipe and we're actually going to make something?
But I'll get into that in a moment. How you doing? Jack Scalfani here, and you're cooking with Jack. And I just want to announce our winners. Congratulations to these people who won the sauce, the t-shirt, and the Jack Skellington mug.
Oh my gosh, he has an international audience. The Czech Republic and Holland. Technically it's called the Netherlands now, isn't it? They changed the name. He won the sauce too. Lucky him. I don't know, maybe I would have picked the mug because that way I wouldn't have to show the mug to other people. The t-shirt, if we had to go in order of the best, I'd probably say the mug, t-shirt, and then the sauce.
It was a battle between Magic Bullet and redoing the poutine video. And I love you who said, use the Magic Bullet to make the gravy and pour it on the poutine. And do a video of all three.
Did we miss another video? We watched his remake of the poutine. Did he do another one? Ah, poutine.
It's gorgeous. Look at that. Is that beautiful? Did I do it, huh?
Check it out.
Magic Bullet sucks. I know it sucks. All you guys ever use it for is just to blend anyways. You might as well use a $20 blender. Oh, I make smoothies. Make a smoothie with a blender. You don't need to spend $60 on a Magic Bullet.
Yeah, I have to admit that he has a point with this. Instead of even getting a Magic Bullet, since they were so small, my mom actually had one, why not just buy a fucking Vitamix? You can do everything with a Vitamix, or buy a Thermomix and you can blend anything. I can take rock salt, and we used to do this in London when we ran out of salt on the weekends. We used to take our rock salt that we had and we used to turn it into 1 table salt because we ran out.
This right here is going to be the hardest recipe I have ever done.
Beef Bourguignon is the hardest thing you've ever done. God, I beg to differ with that. Beef Bourguignon is a stew. It's not difficult.
If you guys ever saw the movie Julie and Julia, regarding this girl who blogged about Julia Child and started redoing all of Julia Child's recipes.
You know, it's difficult. Making a beef Wellington like perfect, that can be difficult. But even then, once you get the training down, it's easy.
So bear with me. I have studied this over the past week. I've gone over it over and over. The steps are simple, but there's a lot to do.
Golly, it's like he's preparing for battle.
This is where we fight! This is where they die!
If any of you haven't made beef bourguignon before, it is not the hardest thing, all right? It's not that hard. The most important thing is take your time.
This is probably, you know me, I like it simple, so I don't know what I was doing. I just want to gouge my eyes out on this one because basically, this is the most ingredients I've ever used in a recipe. But if it's as good as people say it is, this is a classic recipe. So let's take a look at all the ingredients.
You know, I think he's being fully honest about that. He did get a lot of ingredients, and even see that he got some bloody thyme. Where are the pearl onions? I don't see pearl onions, I see onions.
I have 20 small onions. And by the way, the recipe's down below, so you don't have to write this down right now, okay? You can just copy and paste it from below. I've got mushrooms, Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay. I've got flour. I've got olive oil. I've got coarse salt, beef stock, garlic, butter, pepper, 3 pounds of stew meat, tomato paste, bay leaves, parsley, carrots, little thyme. I've got onion. I've got this big hunk of bacon right there. And that's about it.
No, it's not that bad. This is a typical French recipe. Like, a lot of French recipes are actually quite intricate. You may have a lot of ingredients or a lot of steps to cook it, but this recipe, after you make it a couple times, you won't even need a recipe anymore. You'll have it down.
See the rind here, the hard outside? You're just gonna slice that off. Don't throw it out because you're gonna cook it. We're gonna use it, but just separate it from the rest of the bacon.
That cutting board has seen better days, hasn't it? I mean, look at the gashes in that plastic cutting board. All that plastic seasoning that goes in the food, yummy.
Then you're going to cut these pieces about 2 inches apart. Maybe 3. There you go. See? Look, I'm getting dangerous again with a knife. All right? So you're going to cut them in pieces like this.
Why are we cutting the bacon so big? You're going to be eating this. You don't want just one big piece of bacon on the spoon. You want these in like lardons if you're going to be adding it. If you don't have bacon, you can use pancetta, but you need to cut it into smaller pieces. And most of the fat's going to render off anyway, so if you don't want an excess amount of fat, you need to cut the rest of the fat off.
Get some water boiling, because you're going to take the bacon and the rind, and you're going to simmer that. We're going to simmer that for 10 minutes. So we've done this for 10 minutes. Now you're going to remove all the bacon and just put that off to the side. Make sure you don't get any of the water with you.
If you're wondering why Jack is boiling the bacon, like blanching it, this can help to start rendering the fat. It can help start the cooking process, but if you cut the bacon into smaller pieces, it's not a necessity. It really isn't. I mean, this just adds another step to the recipe.
Okay, bacon's out of the water, water's out of the pot, tablespoon of olive oil, and now you're gonna throw the bacon back in.
Virgin.
We're gonna saute it for about 2 to 3 minutes. It's gonna be beautiful. So it's lightly brown. We're gonna take the bacon out, once again, leaving all the fat behind. And this is where you start to brown your meat.
Golly, these pieces of bacon are big. If you like big pieces, that's great because, I mean, then they'll be a little squishy in the middle, but cut it how you like.
Okay, looks like all the meat's been browned.
Jack, come on.
So you want to remove all the meat?
Browned, you boiled the meat. If you want to brown the meat and get color on the meat, you cannot overcrowd the pan like what he just did. You have to do it in batches. And it's gonna take a while if you want to get all the sides.
Now that you got the fat in the pan, all the meat's out, you're gonna put all your vegetables in there. There you go. You're gonna brown all the vegetables in here.
It's all the water from the beef. It's just gonna be boiling the vegetables.
Vegetables are done. You're gonna pull those out
brown.
now.
You're boiling them.
Kind of cool. So far, so good, huh?
Oh my god.
It's not too bad.
No, so far not so good. I mean, look at it. The onions aren't even translucent. And why did he cut the onions in rings?
All right, so you've pulled the vegetables out. You poured out any excess grease that's in there. You pour that out. Now we're gonna return all the meat, the bacon and the beef, back into the pot. All right, here's where we season the meat. Of course, salt.
When you're seasoning any meat whatsoever, never do it straight from the bottle or the container into the pan. Always put it in your hand first, because if the top comes off, especially if it's a little shaker, then what happens? He's gonna do it. I guarantee you, he's gonna do the same thing with the pepper.
A little coarse pepper.
A little coarse pepper.
Go ahead and toss that all up. Get all the meat coated with it. Now here's the cool part. I've never done this before.
I know that.
You're just gonna take the flour. Just gonna coat all your meat with it. Then you're gonna toss it again to lightly coat all the meat.
If you have a roux that's already made, you can take a portion of that and then add it. Once you add the wine, it will thicken the sauce. You could, in a pinch, do what Jack is doing if you forgot to add the flour before. You could add a little now, but he added a lot of flour to this. You can also do another trick, which is called a beurre manier. This is you taking a portion of butter, sticking it in the flour, mixing that together, and then adding that to the pan once you add the liquid.
Just take what we did. We're gonna put that in the oven at 450.
What?
So make sure you got your oven preheated. 450 degrees for 4 minutes.
Why do we need to stick it in the oven? This is a stew. You can cook it over a bloody campfire if you need to. You don't need to use the oven for it. Get on with it.
Toss all the meat around again one more time. And back in 4 more minutes.
Back into the oven.
So 2 4-minute trips in the oven, and you're getting like an outer crust starting here. Now let's start putting in the rest of the ingredients it asks for. So we're putting in 3 cups of full-bodied young red wine. I don't know what that means. But somebody at the store told me Cabernet Sauvignon 2010 or 2009 will work.
Oh yeah, it is a young wine. If this video was made in 2010, 2011, it's not that old. The thing is with the wine, once you add it, you need to reduce it. At least by half, if not a little more. You have to cook off the alcohol, and once you reduce it, then you can add the beef stock or veal. If you have veal stock, better.
Then you're gonna add beef stock. And what you're going to do, you're going to add beef stock,
Jack.
just enough.
No, you reduce the wine.
Almost cover the meat, that's what it says.
Oh my God. I admit, there is more than one way to cook. It's not just necessarily my way is the right way or another person. There are multiple methods on making this. However, it's a good idea to reduce the wine first and then add the stock to it.
You don't want the meat completely submerged. You just want to see the tops of the meat. There we go. Awesome.
Oh my God.
And then all your spices, which is garlic, thyme, and a crumbled bay leaf. You can drop that in there.
Why is everything crushed?
And the tomato paste. There you go. And the bacon rind that you saved from earlier. You're going to drop that in there. Okay, now that all the seasoning is mixed in and everything's just blending together well, and the meat's just barely peeking out over the top, I'm going to throw the vegetables in with this mix, okay? We're going to bring this whole thing to a simmer.
Quick tip, when you're making a stew, you don't want to cut the vegetables super thin because they may actually turn to mush by the time that the meat is actually ready after it's been cooking and simmering. Or better yet, you don't need to be adding a whole onion to this. You add pearl onions. Pearl onions are little baby onions, little teeny onions. And if you have to get shallots and peel them, it's fine. Shallots will work, actually.
All right, as you can see, this is at a simmer. And what we're trying to do is get this in the oven and keep this simmering in the oven.
Getting in the
So
oven.
you're going to have to regulate your heat. I don't know how your oven works. So this is what you do. You're going to put this in. You're going to lower your oven to 350. Put this in the oven at 350. Check it every 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure it's simmering. If it's not, adjust your heat and keep it at a simmer for 3 to 4 hours. I'm going for 3 hours because I'm starving, but you go as long as you want.
I'm sorry, but why are we using the oven again when this recipe does not need an oven to cook? And if you're going to put your oven at 350 to 400, I think the internal temperature is going to be hot enough to simmer, all right? I'm just saying, you know, water boils at 212 Fahrenheit or at 100 Celsius, so it's hot enough.
Just when you thought you could rest, you can't. So I'm putting 1.5 tablespoons of butter in there and 1.5 tablespoons of oil.
Okay, back with the extra virgin. Okay, it's going to be sauteing the onions.
And I got 20 small white onions. We're going to set those in there carefully. Make sure each one's treated individually. So I got to get some tongs for this.
Well, you can use a fork too, or a spoon. I guess Jack is substituting the pearl onions with small onions for garnish? I don't know.
Brown one side, go ahead and flip them. So they're all browned up. Now we're going to add some more stuff to this. First thing we're going to do is add some beef stock,
Okay.
a little bit of black pepper for flavoring,
Okay, back with the black pepper again.
and of course, sea salt. Beautiful. Let me see if I can find, oh yeah, and the herb bouquet. You ready for this? Let me show you what this is before I put it in. This is an herb bouquet. It is cheesecloth. Inside is bay leaves, thyme, and parsley. And we're going to drop that right in there because it tells us to.
My goodness, Jack actually made a boutique garni. This is good. Quite proud of him for doing this. The thing is though, with the onions like this, you don't need a boutique garni with cheesecloth. Normally you need to add it to a stew or anything so you don't have to pick everything out.
A little bit of flour on it. I got this lid for Christmas that matches my Calphalon. We're going to keep that covered. We're going to simmer away until the liquid is all gone in here. Been simmering covered for about 40 to 50 minutes. Look at that. I'm going to remove the onions right now.
I'll tell you what, Jack didn't do bad with the onions. I mean, it doesn't look like they're fully cooked yet, not all of them. But, all right, okay.
Now it's time to do our last step of the mushrooms. So let's saute those in the same amount of butter we did for the onions.
Okay, back with the olive oil
And
butter.
a little drop of olive oil. And when you see that the butter is like completely dissolved and mixed in with the oil, then you can throw the mushrooms in.
Okay. Throw all the mushrooms in. Technically speaking, if you want to saute the mushrooms hot and fast, you put half the amount of mushrooms in than you did now. You cook them, saute, out, and you do the other batch. And that way you'll get very nice color on the mushrooms. It adds flavor too. You need to season them with a little bit of salt.
And saute those till they're nice and browned. All the mushrooms are soft. Let's take them out right now.
Boiled mushrooms.
I feel like I'm creating a masterpiece. All right, here we go. Let's take a look and see how it looks.
We'll see at the end if it is a masterpiece. Don't hold your opinions back, everyone. If it isn't a masterpiece in the end, let us know.
That looks so good. I am thinking it's about done.
I have to admit, after so many hours of it simmering, it doesn't look bad, but the big thing is, how does it taste?
Let's take the meat out of here. This thing's been simmering quite a while. So let's get all the meat and goodness out of this pot and into the next pot.
One quick tip, everyone. Before you take the meat out, depending on how thick you cut it, it's a good idea to take a piece out and to see how tender it is. We reviewed Jamie Oliver's Beef Bourguignon not that long ago, and Jamie cooked it to the point where it looked like it was dog food. He cooked it for so long.
Shiny beef bourguignon. My dad is going to absolutely love that.
Okay, here's the setup. I got a saucepan in the sink. I got a silicone, one of these collapsible strainers. You can use a splash cover. You can use a small strainer of any, or just a sieve if you want.
A sieve or a sieve? I think he meant sieve.
And I'm gonna pour right into here the juice. It's gonna go into the saucepan. Okay, last thing you're gonna wanna do is we're gonna start to simmer this. And as you see like fat accumulate, you can take the oil right off the top and just collect it in a little glass or something. Try to get the fat off the top as it's simmering. It should separate a little bit.
If you made a beef bourguignon properly, you can serve it straight from the pot. The only thing is, if you added a hell of a lot of fat to begin with to it, which he did, then that's the point where you may need to start skimming it. But we're making more work for nothing.
See how it doesn't really stick, it doesn't coat the spoon that well. It's just kind of liquidy. You're gonna cook this down a little thicker to where it kind of coats the spoon. I am so excited. Look at this. I feel like I just ran a marathon.
What is that? Where's the meat? He's taken time to actually decorate the plate with the onions around the border, and then he just dumped all the mushrooms on top of the meat to hide it. I mean, this is not how you serve beef bourguignon. I'm sorry, but this does not look like beef bourguignon. And I swear that if Julia Child saw this recipe, I'm sure she would have something to say.
Look how beautiful that is. I took my onions, my small white onions, and circled the perimeter to give it better presentation. Mushrooms on top, the meat underneath that, and now it's time to just top it off. You ready? This is the cooked down gravy, or I should say almost an au jus. It's absolutely beautiful. Make sure you hit all your meat.
I highly doubt that Jack spent another hour to reduce that stock, especially in a small pan. What I think he did is he either added cornstarch to thicken it quickly, or he added more flour to it with maybe a little bit of butter, like a beurre manier or a roux.
I can't believe I just did this dish.
That's two of us.
There it is. Look how beautiful that is. People, get around, take pictures. This is unbelievable. We are going to give this a try. Look, you can see the juice all filled through the tray.
That's it? That's how he's going to serve it. I'm surprised he didn't add a little bit of parsley on top. He bought parsley too in the beginning. In the very first photo, he did buy parsley. Give it a little color. Serving this with big onions is that, unlike baby shallots or pearl onions, they're not bite-sized. So if you want to eat one of them, you have to fork it and then you have to cut it.
Oh my goodness. Wow, we did it. And I'm totally sweating. It was a lot of work, but what a finale of our international dishes. We just did the French cuisine, beef bourguignon. And I'm going to try a piece right now. Oh my goodness. The fork goes right into the meat. It's absolutely amazing.
Can he get all of that in his mouth? Let's see.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no, he just ripped it off the fork. He didn't even eat all of it.
The meat falls right apart in your mouth.
It falls apart in your mouth as he speaks while he's still chewing. I honestly don't think that it was that tender. I mean, it was tender enough for him to be able to rip it off the fork without touching it, but he didn't say how it tasted.
Unbelievable. Well, I don't know what you're having, but I'm having French tonight, and I will see you on the next Cooking with Jack. You take care.
If you haven't cooked a French cuisine before, it may seem a little intimidating, so he did do a good job with this. It's just that the execution of the dish wasn't the best, and I'm sure that Julia Child would probably say something as well, because when you compare Jacques beef bourguignon with what you normally see as a beef bourguignon, they don't look anything alike. And be sure to keep sending me these suggestions. I love them. Until next time, take care.